Hello everyone. So today we'll be looking at this particular design. I'll link in the Dribbble post original link at the description. So let's get started. First of all, we are going to implement the top part containing these two buttons here, which controls the page below and the avatar. So I haven't done much. I have just imported the Flutter package and called the main function, where I in turn call the run app. The run app calls my stateful widget my app. So inside the my app I have created a widgetry which starts with the material app, which has body, scaffold, and inside the scaffold I have given a body of container. So in order to implement, we will first use the property called app bar. We will return the child app bar. Inside the app bar, we are going to use the bottom property, where inside which we are going to give the tab bar. The tab bar will use a property called tabs, inside which we will give independent tab widgets. So let's giving sign in, and for the next it will be sign up. Sorry, it's in text, it's tab, so it will be sign up. Now if we try running it, we will see an error, no tab controller. So in order to avoid this error, we will first declare a tab controller and we will initialize it in the init state. In Dart 2.0, there isn't any need to use a new keyword, so tab controller with the length 2 in this case and a vsyn corresponding to this. We will see this red line, which we can remove by using with single ticker provider state mixin. It has gone away. Be sure to dispose your tab controller in the dispose state of your app. So this here we will dispose our tab controller. We'll call tab controller dot dispose. Now we will provide this controller to the controller property of our tab bar. Now if we try running it again, let's see. Okay, so we have sign in and sign up. The next thing we are going to do is change the color of our label. So we are going to give a black color, and to unselected label as well, we are again providing black color, and also to the indicator too, we will be giving a black. So let's see. And next thing, we want to remove the change the color, background color. For that, we will go to the app bar and give the background color a value of white. The elevation can be removed by using the elevation property and providing a value of 0. By default, the tab bar takes up the entire width of the screen. In order to change this, use the isScrollable property and change it to true. So let's see how that comes. Okay, but there is this area at the top which we want to remove. For that, use Option Enter or Alt Enter according to Mac or Windows, and this pop-up occurs. Then select Wrap with Widget and then Preferred Size, and use the property called Preferred Size and give it a value of size dot from height and give the offset that you want from the top side. For the moment, let's give it 30 and see how that is. Okay, that's enough. Now in our UI, there's an image in front and the sign and sign up are towards the end. To achieve this, we are going to again wrap our tab bar by a row, and in turn this row is again to be going to wrapped by another row. I'll tell you the reason in some time. And inside our top row we are going to give a child of type image.asset and give it the path images slash profile.jpg, and we'll give it a width of 50 and a height of 50 as well, and a comma to end it off. We doesn't see any image because I think it was the space in between. Be sure to add your assets to pubspec.yaml in order for it to work perfectly. The next thing we have to do is provide rounded corners. For that we will wrap our image.asset with a widget called clip_rect. So it takes in the value called border radius, where you can give value border radius dot circular, which means the same value will be given to all sides, and given a value of 15. Let's see how that looks. Okay, now we want the space between the image and the sign in sign up buttons. For that we use in the top row, we will use a property called main axis alignment and give a value space between. Let's see how that looks. Okay, the next thing we want to give is a padding to our entire row from all the sides. So wrap with padding. Instead of all, we will be using symmetric, and we will be giving a vertical value of 8 and a horizontal value of 25. So let's see how that looks. Okay, that's shaping up pretty good, exactly like how we wanted it. Sign in, sign up, it all works. Now we will try implementing this button here at the top right, at the bottom right corner of the screen. So at the moment, let's hide our app bar and let's use a property called floating action button. So we'll give it a child of floating action button type, and let's give it a child of type icon. So for this particular use case, we'll be using an icon called arrow forward, and let's see if that comes. Okay, that pops up, but this is circular. We want rectangle. For that we'll be using shape, rounded rectangular border, and inside the rounded rectangular border we will be giving border radius as we did it earlier, border radius circular, and giving 15 to all sides. See how it runs. Okay, that's good. Now if you see, there is an elevation to the widget, but however in our original UI there isn't this elevation. We can remove this elevation by using the elevation property of our floating action button. So elevation, and set it to 0. Okay, so it is now more flat to it. Now before we continue, let's hide this for a moment. So if you look at this, the sign in and sign up, the indicator under sign in actually covers a lot more area than what is in our UI, where it is just bounded to the label. We can achieve this effect by going into app bar. Under tab bar there is a property called indicator size, and it will take a value indicator size dot label. So if you look now, it is bounded to the label length. So that is more like how our UI is. Now the next thing we want to do is change our profile pic and the button color as our tab is changed. For that we will be using another variable called index, and we will be listening to the changes in the tab. For that we will be adding a listener to our tab controller, and inside the listener we are going to call set state, so that our update widgets can update in the screen. And inside the set state we are going to change index to the of the tab controller. and we are going to end it off with a semicolon. And so now we are going to provide a little bit of change towards here, inside, not here exactly. So I will hide the app bar for a moment and open our floating action button, and inside under the elevation we are going to use a property called background color, and we will be using a ternary operation to check if index equals 0, then use k blue, else use k pink. So k blue and k pink are color values that I have defined as constant in a separate dot file called constants.dot. This is a good practice to keep your constants in a separate dot file and in using a naming convention that starts with small letter k. So let's see. Okay, let's try that once again. Okay, so it is working now, and the sign in it's blue and the sign up it's pink. So now the next thing we want to change is the profile pic. So for that let's hide floating action button, and inside our row, inside the clip rect, inside our image asset, we are again going to use a ternary operation. We are going to check if index equals 0, then use the path image/profile.jpg. If it isn't, then use the path images/user.png. So let's see how that looks. Okay, sign in the image we want, sign up, and avatar. Now both our button and our image changes accordingly to the active tab. Now let's hide our app bar. We are almost done with our app bar and the floating action button. Now let's look at the body. For the moment, inside the container we will use a child of type column. The column will have children. The first child will be expanded widget, and the second child will be a container which will take up the width of the entire screen. We can easily get that by using double dot infinity, and the height of, let's give it a 70 for the moment, and a color of gray. Let's see, a build function return null. This is because we haven't given any child to our expanded. So let's give it, for the moment, let's give it a child of type container, and let's see. Okay, and this is almost what we want. But if you look at this, our button at the bottom right side is actually lower than what we wanted. So let's fix that by quickly hiding this and going back to our floating action button and then wrapping our floating action button with paddings. So instead of all, we will be only providing padding on the bottom side. Let's give it a value of 30. See how that looks. Okay, and for the right side as well, I'll be giving a padding of 15. Okay, so this is how like we want it to be. So this will be it in the first part of this episode, and in the next part we'll be looking at how to implement the pages inside the tab controllers. So thank you for watching. Hope you all have implemented it.